Okay, so I'm going to be proving from the Gospel of John that the doctrine of the Trinity is not only illogical, but it's unbiblical too. We read in the Gospel of John, chapter 17, verse 1, Jesus is praying to the Father. Now, is Jesus praying to himself? Of course not, because how can someone pray to himself? If someone's praying to the Father or God, that means the Father is greater than the Son. So Jesus is praying to the Father in John chapter 17, verse 1, that proves that Jesus and God are two separate beings, and they're not co-equal. Second part is if you read the Gospel of John, chapter 20, verse 17, Jesus says, "Do not cling to me, for I have not descended unto my Father, your Father, my God, and your God." So Jesus has the same God as Mary Magdalene and the disciples. So if Jesus has a God, that means Jesus cannot be co-equal with God. Therefore, like if Jesus is, part of the second part of the Trinity, and the Trinity is co-equal with everybody, or the Father is co-equal with the Son is co-equal with the Holy Spirit is co-equal with God, and these three aren't three but one. If the Trinity is true, is Jesus ascending to himself? Because if the Father is co-equal with the Son and the Son is co-equal with the Father, that means Jesus can't be ascending to himself. You see, so he has to have a God, or his Father or his God has to be higher, or has to be greater or higher than him, and Jesus has to be lower. Therefore, John chapter 20, verse 17 proves that there's no Trinity, and Jesus is not ascending to himself, but someone greater than himself, in this case, the Father. And Jesus has the same God as Mary Magdalene and the disciples and the rest of us. So Jesus has a God over him in John chapter 20, verse 17. And John chapter 17, verse 1 says that Jesus was praying to the Father. That means, if the Trinity is true, is Jesus praying to himself? Of course not. Jesus is praying to somebody higher and greater than him, according to John chapter 17, verse 1. So these two verses from the Gospel of John disprove the Trinity and show it's illogical and it's unbiblical. So Jesus has a God over him, and that God is greater than him in John chapter 14. Therefore, Jesus and God are separate. They're not co-equal, and God is greater than Jesus. So Jesus has a God over him, as he emphasizes in John chapter 20, verse 17, and other places in the New Testament, like Revelation chapter 3, verse 2, and Revelation chapter 3, verse 12, where Jesus says he has a God. Therefore, Jesus cannot be co-equal with God. Therefore, the whole Trinity being co-equal with each other completely collapses, because Jesus is definitely lower than God, and Jesus has a God. Therefore, Jesus cannot be God according to the rules of the New Testament. Stay tuned. More videos coming up ahead debunking the Trinity.